What's up, good people? What's up? Hope everybody is having a phenomenal week on purpose. It's your boy, Coach White. Welcome to Coach Class with Coach. I'm excited for this class, man. Very excited. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into this because it is 8 o'clock and I like to be on time. Let's start off with some brief announcements. So, again, the gallery tells your story. We have some pretty cool content over there. Go ahead and check that out on YouTube. If you like what you see, like it. And if you would prefer to describe. If you prefer to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe, man. Show your boy some support. We have a lot of dope conversations, and I keep kicking myself, man, because I gotta upload the most recent videos that we've done. I'm sure I have at least 10 to upload, at least. So charge it to my head, not to my heart. But my goal is to have them uploaded by this Friday. All right. So yeah, go ahead and check that out, man. We got some really dope content over there. Some meaningful life conversations about challenges and relationship challenges and challenges with the person in the mirror, family challenges, and all that. And what we do is we line all of that up with the scriptures, and we see what thus says the Lord about it. So check it out, man. The gallery that tells your story on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And I'm also encouraging people to, you guys are welcome to send in some videos to me. If you have something going on that you want us to pick apart on the show, you are more than welcome to do that. Uh, just send me a direct message, or you can give me a call. My number is 443-785-7010. That's 443-785-7010. Or you can text 443-762-6010. Let me know, if you want to be a part of the production. You send us a video. Let us know what's going on, and we can pick it apart and line it up with the good book. How does that sound? Also, we got Aiden's Journey. Aiden's Journey is comprised of two Christian fiction novels, one being The Invisible Marriage, and the other one is called Forsaking All Others. It is available right now on Amazon and Kindle. So check that out, man. I really want you guys to give me some feedback on those projects, man. We had a really good time completing those projects. And Aiden is something else, man. So check him out. We also have uh, Intersections, the book titled Intersections, coming up, which is going to be the third part to Aiden's journey. So that'll be out pretty soon. Also, I did, and it didn't. It's my first book project, man. I had a good time with some really dope authors on a collaboration. So check that out. That's also available on Amazon and Kindle. And my wife's really, really, really dope I was gonna say Christian fiction novel. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. Really dope poetic novel on her experiences with domestic violence in the past, man. Check that out. That book is titled 50 Shades of She. 50 Shades of She. And that's available on Amazon as well. Tonight, and every Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Uh, We have coach classes with Coach. So thank you for joining in. TikTok, salute. Even if you guys check in for a little bit of time, man, I'm blessed by that. If you know me, you know that I coach from three pillars. The first pillar we've done like maybe several weeks already, uh, and that unit was called self-talk. This unit is called intrapersonal skill development. This is about your relationship with you. That's right, your relationship with you. So if you are a client, if you are someone that is not a current client, but you want to become a client, if you are a current coach, or if you are one that aspires to become a coach, check into the class, man. Get some really dope information, man. I'm sure that you will walk away with something vital for yourself and something that you can depart to the people around you. All right. What else? What else? The gallery tells. I know you can't see it a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. The gallery tells your story. T-shirts are for sale. It is available. Really dope messages on the back, man. Stuff to live by. We also have John 8:24 T-shirts available, and we also have self-love over self-destruction T-shirts available. All right. So check it out, man. Give me a shout. If you're interested, again, my number is 443-785-7010. That's 443-785-7010. Or shoot me a text at 443-762-6010. All right? Or send me a direct message. I'm on Facebook. I'm on IG. I'm on TikTok, of course. I'm on Lemon. I just got word about Lemon not too long ago. I'm on that. I'm on what's the other one called? Threads. Yeah, I'm on all that. I try to be everywhere. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen in a minute, and we're gonna get into this for today. This lesson for today. And I'm getting better on my production. I've been practicing with my son, my youngest son. Shout out to Makai White, my guy Makai. Where should we go first? Let's go. Is this it? No. I'm spoiling. Let me go another place. Hold on. Here we go. Share. It wasn't that one, so maybe it is this one. Or did I already click that one? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. All right. So, if you can see my screen, I want you to focus on the leftmost side of the screen here. Every now and again, I call this the game of logic. So in this game of logic that we play, you have two words in particular that are words that they require attention. The first word is the word if, because with the word if prompts a condition, all right, or a conditional clause. And then you have the word then, which prompts a conclusion, all right. So this is the game of logic that I often have to introduce in sessions with my client when it comes to let's say things that they want to change about their behaviors, things that they want to change about their thought patterns, their self-talk, their emotions. So I may say, if you continue to do this, then what will happen? And then they fill in the blanks. That means nothing changes. As I say to them, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? But if you continue to do this, then you'll get the same result, right? But if you change something and you fill in the blank, then you get a different result. It's the game of logic. It's real simple. So if you're a coach and you're in this business and your clients are repeating the same pattern, you take them through the game of logic. You use the words if and then. You let them fill in the blanks. And, I'm sure the light bulb will go off at some point. So here we go. I'm going to read this statement, right? And what you're going to do is change the statement around to make it logical. All right? So here we go. Here's the first statement. You ready? All right. It says your self-worth is determined by you. You have to depend on someone telling you who you are. I'm going to repeat that again. You have to make this statement logical. TikTok, if you listen, send a message. If you guys are on Facebook or IG, send me a message. Your goal is to take this statement and make it logical. So I'm giving you a hint. It's an illogical statement. You ready? Your self-worth is determined by you. You have to depend on someone telling you who you are. Now tell me what words you would change in that illogical statement to make it logical. All right? Now here's statement number 2. Same exercise. And again, if you're a coach, I'm giving you this as an activity that you could do with your client. All right, here's the statement. Here's the illogical statement that you have to make logical. Your self-worth is determined by someone else. You don't have to depend on someone telling you who you are. Let me repeat that. Illogical statement. Your self-worth is determined by someone else. You don't have to depend on someone telling you who you are. All right, make that a logical statement. There's a few words you have to change. All right. All right, let me go to a different screen and I'm going to give you the quote of the day that stems from that exercise. All right, here we go. Sharing my screen. All right, here we go, right here. Here's the quote of the day. Now, this is the logical statement. It says, your self-worth is determined by you. You don't have to depend on someone telling you who you are. Your self-worth is determined by you. You don't have to depend on someone telling you who you are. All right? That is the logical statement. You determine your self-worth. From this day forward, if you struggle with this, I'm telling you as your coach, you do not have to depend on someone telling you who you are. No one, you should not give anyone a license to determine your identity at this stage in your life as an adult. Nobody gets that license. If you give someone that license, you are their slave. Nobody gets that license. You don't give anybody the license to tell you who you are, to validate who you are. We can't do that. So you have to promise me you will not do that moving forward if, in fact, you have challenges with that. All right? So let's look at a couple of things here that impact someone or that provides. Let me reframe that. Let me give you some ideas of things that happen. And it could happen pretty regularly, whereby we give people license to determine our identity, to determine who we are. All right, let me share my screen again. Let's go to, sorry, let me close. I don't need this anymore. I don't need that anymore. Let me get rid of some stuff on the screen. Let's go to, let's go back to the whiteboard. I think, yeah, this is cool. All right, if you can see my screen, let's focus on the rightmost side of the screen now. Let's focus here. Instances when you could be allowing your self-worth to be determined by someone else. First thing is social media. Ding, 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 ding. Posting to gain approval. Focusing on how many likes you have. How about this one? Getting upset because people unfriended you. Is that a word? Or befriended you? What is that word? You know what I mean. You started out being friends with somebody on social media. You probably didn't know them anyway. And then, for whatever reason, you look down in the column where you can see people that you could friend, and you see that person and you discover they're not your friend anymore. Or how about this? This is really common. The pictures you post on social media, you got to show your skin. My sisters got to show their cleavage and their hind parts. And then you keep looking over and over again to see how many likes you got. You keep looking for comments. Or, on the contrary, if you don't get any comments and you feel some kind of way about that, this is what I call instances when you could be allowing your self-worth to be determined by someone else. All right? Don't do that. What about career success? This is the second one I have highlighted here. Working to exceed your peers' expectations. Putting in a lot of work because you want praise from people. You thrive off of praise from people. And on the contrary, if you don't get praise from people, you feel some kind of way. You're ready to leave a job. Again, this is what I call instances when you could be allowing your self-worth to be determined by someone else. How about relationship fulfillment? Where your self-worth is tied to the relationship and you prioritize the relationship over your own personal happiness. And you're so focused on making other people happy. Meanwhile, you're not happy yourself. Again, these are instances when you could be allowing your self-worth to be determined by someone else. And overall, external validation, allowing others to dictate your self worth, confirming to others' opinions. Are you that type? Do you come? Oh, I said confirming. I meant what's going on today. Let me drink some water. Conforming to others' opinions. You ever meet a person that always needs external validation? It's tough. It's tough to be around and connected to a person, TikTok, that always needs external validation. It's tough, right? And it's draining too. It's draining to be around a person that always needs external validation. They keep asking you how they look. They keep asking you how they did it. They get upset when you don't say anything. They get upset when you don't notice something. Yeah, that's tough. All right. So those are all instances when you could be allowing your self-worth to be determined by someone else. All right. So let's see what we can do next. Let me share again. Let's go to the article today. This is a really good article. Good brother, good brother. What up? What up? How you feeling?
I'm cool, y'all. Screen, that thing wasn't working.
So are you on now, champ? I don't know why.
Yeah, no, let's say, wait.
Really? I don't know why this. I don't know why this happened. But we on now. So, uh, so I'm looking at this article. I'm actually going to send to you when we get off. It's called "Who Are You?" These are 6 questions to help you find out, or 6 questions to help you find out. All right. So it says this is by LCSW Robert. I will not try to butcher his last name. I will not try to pronounce his last name or I'll butcher it. All right, so it says key points, or rather, let me start with by stepping back from your life, you can discover who you really want to be. All right, so the key points of this article, and it's so much here, Jamar, that we won't be able to get through it all. Right? So let's take our time with it and pick it apart. Key point number 1, out of all of who you are, there's a core of you that defines you. All right. Key point number 2, life is about choices, and an active life is one of making choices consciously and deliberately. I like that. Let me bring that back. Life is about choices, and an active life is one of making choices consciously and deliberately. Key point number 3, your life has a purpose. You have already learned important lessons. What are they? And then the last key point, step back and reflect on who you are and who you want to be. All right, so it starts off like this. It says, when you step back and look at yourself and your life, what do you see? Not in terms of appearance, but in terms of your identity. What makes you you? Here are some questions to help you define yourself. Number 1, 10 or 20 years from now, Jamar, what would you like people to say about you? 10 or 20 years from now, what would you like people to say about you?
10, 20 years from now. love. I showed love. I walked in love. Had a good heart.
Okay. That's dope. Love conquers all, brother. That's a good one. So he goes on to say, this may be about your profession, that you are an expert in what you do, the go-to person who has the answers, the maverick who has a unique and creative approach, or it may be about your personal life, that you are known for making a difference in your community, that matriarch or patriarch who helped family members steer that big ship of life, or a role model for others in navigating the journey from struggling to succeeding. This is about reputation, but also goals. Creating the person you may ultimately want to be. Creating the person you may ultimately want to be. Now, since we're talking about coaching, what I'm going to do in this exercise, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip this thing. Let me share again. All right. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this whiteboard. I don't need that one anymore. So let me share. Did I get rid of it? Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. We're going to flip this. The first question that I have, because of coaching, so this is about helping clients be better. So we're not necessarily focused. So the question is, what would you prefer that people forget about your reputation? What would you prefer that people forget about your reputation? Now, mind you, let me give this disclaimer. We can't control what people remember about us, right? But we can create a brand new lifestyle with some realistic goals attached so that even if they remember what we don't want them to remember, it will be very easy for them to shift the focus to the greater thing. Or does that make sense? So what would you prefer that people forget about your reputation? And I'll since I'm hosting, I'll start with me. And shout out to my brother, our younger brother, Devin White. But we all have some kind of reputation. We all have a life or have lived a life. Hopefully, have matured spiritually and mentally to a point where when people see us, they physically see who we used to be, but we don't behave the same way we used to a point where, or so much so that they are enamored by the change. And they may be anticipating that we go back to who we were, but the good book says, greater is he in this world. So I say shout out to our brother because it's very common that, you know, when I get in his company or if he's around someone that I haven't seen in a very long time, and I don't think it's any bad intention behind this at all, but it's very common that it becomes this instance where he or the people that he's around start to reminisce on the person that I used to be, right? The person that the person that I buried, the person that is dead, right? You're seeing the resurrected God now, spiritually speaking, and mentally and psychologically speaking. And this is the new man that you see. So I don't conduct myself in that way anymore. I'm actually ashamed of some of the things that I used to do. I'm ashamed of the person that I used to be. And I know from doing my own self work that I was responding from a place of pain, subjected to uh, some traumatic experiences, born. And I was really, you know, walking around as an older uh, but younger adult and a older youth per se, teenager, whatever. And I didn't know how to effectively communicate the pain that was living inside of me. So, like any other person who has a very hard time articulating or being vulnerable enough to express the pain that's going on, I did some things that I regret, right? But I don't take pride in going around people that I haven't seen in a long time and or entertaining those conversations about the old man that's now dead because I'm not like that anymore. Right. And like I said, I'm ashamed of some of those things. So if I'm starting with myself and being very transparent here and everybody else tuning in, if I have to consider in my self work at this stage as a coach, if I'm entertaining the question, what would you prefer that people forget about your reputation? It would be just that. I hope that the work that I'm doing now in people's eyes supersede the evil that I was doing back then and the malice intent and all the things that I'm ashamed of. I hope that my work right now in the community and nationally supersedes the old man that has died and that I buried. All right. So that would be for me. What say you, brother? What is it that you prefer that people forget about your reputation?
Yeah, y'all see that old me, angry, drinking out, partying, and fighting. That part, okay, that happens to me a lot. I don't say a lot, but like the same thing you said, but well, like when I talk to some brothers from back home, some of them, not all of them, they always got to bring that up, bring up the old. I'm like, bro, I'm so far removed from, um, but they gotta bring that up.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I'm so far past that. Like, I would change it. I know that to happen.
Yeah.
Some stuff I'm better now. Some stuff I didn't. I had a hard time kind of getting over.
Sure.
Like you said, felt like ashamed of it. It's like, dang, man, I really could have. I hurt people. I still think about that here and there. Like, man, if I could go back and apologize to some of these people, definitely would.
Yeah.
Even if they say I can't stand you, I hate you, I still would. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't going to man. I was just unconscious. No excuse for it. I ain't nothing that, brother. So, yeah, the older guys, you said it's gone.
Yeah.
I think him a lot, or he helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, he's gone. So yeah, that part wrong.
Yeah.
But I see that. I see that sometimes like rejection,
Mm-hmm.
rejecting that stuff, you know, because they can't, they still stuck in the same phase, and they kind of like don't want. I see it like it's like a love. They don't want that old love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they gotta hold on to that.
Yeah.
That's what they remember. So I take it as love. I think it's love. It's just don't love. But yeah, that part is gone.
Yeah. Sure. And I'm reminded, man. Thank you for sharing that, man. I'm reminded of when I first came to Christ and I accepted him for who he is as Lord. And in obedience. And the first thing that I was very convicted about was, or rather, saying it differently for me, the first thing that came to mind in my prayer time, I remember saying, I don't know, Lord, where you're going to take me on this journey. But one thing I don't want is to stand before people in hypocrisy. So I immediately, man, I remember I want to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I spent a lot of time seeking people to apologize to. Because again, I didn't want to profane his name by standing before anybody, not knowing where he was going to take me on this journey, and have somebody looking at me and saying, how is he called to do X when I remember he did Y and Z? So if there was any inkling in my mind that a person could say that about me based off of the old man that died, man, I was apologizing, man. And this is where I got reconnected. For those of you guys that know me and my family, my brother and I, the fathers, the father that we share really raised me, and I'm grateful. Uh, that even prompted me to, you good, brother? That prompted me to write my dad a letter. I wrote him a letter in prison. He was in Jessup. And I think from ages about 5 to about 17, I didn't go to my dad's side and spend time with him physically. Now, my cousin Dana, shout out to Dana, he came and hung out with me when I was 12, and he stayed with me and my grandmother just to hang out for a weekend or two. But there was that lapse of time where I didn't physically go back over there. And so all that to say, I had no contact with my dad at all. Um, but when I got to that stage in my life, when I surrendered my life to Christ, and I just started to apologize to a lot of people that I offended by my conduct or by my words, I thought about my dad and I said, Lord, if you forgive me for all my sins, who am I to raise my standards above a holy God? I need to forgive too. And I remember writing him a letter, letting him know that I forgave him. And I said to him in this letter, whatever, I forgive you for the times you weren't there. I forgive you for the times you didn't protect me. At this stage of my life, I'm ready to move forward. I want to connect with you. I want to, establish our bond as father and son. And ever since then, we started bonding. So it was just one of those things, man, where at that stage in my life, and we're talking about uh, reputations and things of that nature. If I'm asking people to forgive me for what I've done, it was equally important for me to extend forgiveness to people who may have offended me by their absence. You follow what I'm saying? So I think that's equally important that we ask for forgiveness, but we also extend forgiveness as well. All right. So just wanted to share that, man. I don't know who that reached, but I think is relevant, and you know, it ties into what we're doing right now in this segment. All right, so let's go. This next section of the article. Let me reshare. Again, the article is titled "Who Are You?" So let me read. Let me give you a little commentary. So the first section that we just covered says this may. Oh, well, I actually already read that part. Let's go to the second part. It says, "What represents the best of you?" What represents the best of you? It says we all have multiple aspects to ourselves, but usually there are one or two that, on a good day, take center stage. That represents the best of you, what you are most proud of. It could be your sense of humor, your ability to stand up for what you believe in, bringing out the best in others, or you're holding fast and doing the best you can despite all the obstacles in your life. What about you do you appreciate and admire the most? How can you bring these to the forefront of your everyday life? All right. And again, because our focus is on coaching, we're going to start with the weak areas and not the strengths. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing this and then I'm going to go back to my whiteboard to the second question. The second question is, let me see. All right, the second question is, what represents the worst of you? What are you ashamed of? So this is something you want to talk through with your clients. What exactly represents the worst part of your character? What are you ashamed of? All right. So I think last week what I shared about myself is that as I recall my first marriage, where I spent a lot of time distancing myself from my then wife because of my own immaturity and my lack of emotional intelligence that stemmed from childhood being isolated a lot. So when I became frustrated as an adult who was then married, when I became irritated in that marriage, I isolated myself a lot. And sometimes it would be days, weeks, or even months where I didn't speak to my wife. I didn't utter a word to her. And we were passing each other like strangers, which is a form of emotional abuse. In hindsight, since I've done my self work, I can say that I'm ashamed of that part of my character. I'm ashamed of the part of my character that tends to get distant and quiet. And I revert, and I don't do it. I don't do it on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being I do it often. I'm probably at a 0.5 now in my life. So I'm under a 1 where that actually happens. And if I'm not being honest, my wife will correct me in a heartbeat, believe me. But back then, I was that dude. I was that guy that distanced myself. And I shared last week again. At that stage in my life, I hadn't done any self work, so I really didn't know who I was. This whole unit is about self work, so we have to be real with the worst parts of who we are, and we have to be able to be coached. And it doesn't have to be by me, so much so that is not a consistent part anymore, or until the point of time in which that is not a consistent part of your lifestyle and your character anymore. Or you have to be willing to do your own work. You have to hate that part of yourself enough and love the people who are impacted by that person that you present in those seasons of your life. So I'll be honest with you. I was ashamed, and I wrote her an extensive letter before we broke off and separated, apologizing and owning my mishaps, but being honest in my offenses, but being honest and let her know that at that time I didn't know why I did that. I didn't know why I distanced myself. I didn't know why I was comfortable with being quiet. And I will go further to say I didn't know that I was being emotionally abusive by being quiet and giving people what we call the silent treatment. But when I did my self work, I discovered that because my consistent punishment at a point in time in my childhood involved isolation, that's where it stemmed from. But guess what? If I had not done that deep digging and diving back into my past and my trauma, I would still be the same way. That's why it's very important that we do self work. It is mandatory. We started off the first unit about self talk, and now we're doing self work. So the question is, and I'll pose this to you, Jamar, what represents the worst part of your character? Tough, isn't it?
Um, I can be detached.
Okay.
I can detach. Yeah. Yeah, especially I can detach to something out doing. Well, if I to be being transparent, if I felt like, um, especially in previous stuff, if I'm not being, uh, if I wasn't being treated the way I was treating the person,
Mm-hmm.
I detach. Or, you know what I mean? If I felt somebody cross me in a certain way, I detach. Quickly, it was like, you wouldn't even think you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even think I love the person like I did because it's like, I detached.
Yeah.
Right? So, detaching
Mm-hmm.
instead of that instead of sitting in it and communicate a little better, I just detach like about crossing you off from out of there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got better with that over the years. So I still kind of detach myself.
Okay. At what point in time did you recognize that detaching was a defensive tactic of yours? It was a way that you were defending yourself and protecting yourself. In what way, at what point did you discover that detaching was a way to defend yourself?
I guess I became aware of it over these last couple of years.
Okay, that's real. That's real.
I'm knocking the back, it was like, I knew it was like a defense thing. But then I try to see the good in some ways, So like, to try to justify me doing it.
Yeah.
To try to find the good in it, but it is like still detaching is a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like, something not going away, I would like, or so detach myself from out.
Gotcha. Okay. Man, again, I commend you for doing your work, man. I guess, in sharing my story, that was a way I could have used the word. I think the word detached to be fitting for me as well. 'Cause that's what I did. You know, I just called it isolation. I called it giving somebody the silent treatment. But all of it is a form of, you know, we're protecting ourselves from something, and if we're not doing our self work, we don't really know why. We don't know A, that we're protecting ourselves, and B, we don't know. Uh, I'm trying to make sure I frame it right. We don't know that we're protecting ourselves. We don't recognize that it's a defensive method, uh, because we don't know where it stems from. And we got to understand where it stems from first before we start doing the work. That's like trying to build a new house on an old foundation. We gotta go back to the foundation, and we gotta create a new foundation that's solid, and then we can build on it. But everything else is it's not gonna work, right? It's not gonna work. All right, so let's go. That's the last part of this article, real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing my whiteboard. Let's go back here. All right, because this article, man, and if you guys are just checking in, man, there is so much in this article that prompts so much work that we wouldn't be able to get through all of it. So the third one, check this out. What struggles have you had to overcome that have shaped your personality in some important way? So this says we all have ongoing trials and challenges in our lives. They may be big, such as an addiction that derailed your life and took you years to face and eventually tame, or a relationship with a child or parent who struggled themselves, and you, in turn, struggled to figure out how you could help. It could be childhood trauma, a medical challenge, or maybe it was something seemingly more ordinary, overcoming your fear of public speaking, learning to navigate and get your sea legs as a new parent, or conquering a job that you felt sure at the start you could never do. Your challenges are yours to define. The purpose of this question is to step back, realize, and give yourself credit for how far you've come, for acknowledging your ability to overcome life's challenges despite your fears, or lack of skills or support, by sharing these experiences and lessons with others, you not only have an opportunity to be a role model for others, but also create intimacy in your relationship. All right. And again, since we are coaching, we are starting with the more weak areas and not the strengths. All right. So let's go to the whiteboard. And we may not have time. Which challenges or struggles do you have currently that you have yet to overcome? Which challenges or struggles do you have currently that you have yet to overcome? All right. Close out. I don't know if we can get into this. Let's see. I'll start with me. What challenges or struggles do you have currently that you have yet to overcome? I will admit that sometimes I have challenges with uh, being empathetic when it comes to dynamics. I have challenges with uh, empathy, being empathetic. Um, I, I I don't. I'm not as I'm trying to, and I'm only pausing because I'm trying to make sure I frame. I have to. I'm analytical, so I'm trying to frame it in my mind before I say it. I have to be honest and say that I'm not the person, and I don't know if you're this way as well. I'm not the person that if I see somebody crying, my first response is to embrace that person with a hug. That's not my first response. So I have challenges in that regard of being empathetic in that way. You know, uh, my first response is to be analytical and try to figure out, hey, what happened? How did we get here? Right? How did we arrive at this point? What do I need to do? You know what I mean? I'm mentally trying to analyze that instead of first going to the embrace and showing empathy in that way. And that it's a little deeper than that, but I will say that that is something that I struggle with. And it's not that I don't care. I struggle with expressing that I care. You know what I mean? Through whether it's physical contact or whatever have you. So that's a challenge of mine that I still struggle with. Um, I definitely want to hear yours, but the time is we got to jump off of here, man. So why don't we do this? Let's pick up with this point where we left off next Wednesday. And you can just reflect. I'm gonna send you the article so you can check it out. And I'm gonna call you after this is over so we could chop it up for a minute. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut the stream down. Thank you guys for brother from the same mother. Thank you for being faithful, man, and helping me to grow this coaching business, man. And we're gonna go ahead and close the stream, and I will do a replay tomorrow. So check your social media platforms. It's your boy Coach White signing out. Peace. All right, man. All right, guys. See you guys next week.